All right, so hopefully at this point you had a chance to practice working with thumbnail tags a little bit. And let's just review what the requirements were, and then I'll jump into showing you my approach to it. All right, so what we had to do was add theme support for it and then use the post thumbnail tag in both a listing page, a single page, and optionally pass in other attribute data. So that was the basic setup. Let's jump into the code. All right, so we could start off in our functions.php file, and you could see I've got post thumbnails enabled for posts and pages. I don't have any custom post types set up, but if you had something like events, you could do that as well. Then we're going to come into my listing page. I don't have a home.php, so that's going to be my index.php. And you could see I have set up the post thumbnail using a thumbnail size and passing in attributes of align left, which is a default WordPress class. If you ever align things left or right in the WYSIWYG editor or in the admin area, this class is usually what's used in a theme or default WordPress theme to align it. And then title, I'm just passing in that. I'm not doing anything else, just basic stuff here. Thumbnail size, and you can see I'm wrapping it in a link tag, which we'll talk about more later, but you already know the permalink by now. So if somebody clicks on the image, they could also go to the individual listing page. So that's what I have on my listing page, or they could go to the single page by clicking on the permalink. Then inside of single.php, you could see I'm running this test if has post thumbnail. I don't really need that. If I was wrapping the whole thing in an HTML tag and saying something like, this is a P with a class of thumbnail, which we wouldn't really be doing. However, if you had extra markup, that's when you'd want to use this if statement. Just using this on its own, just the post thumbnail, again, we don't really need it, but not a terrible practice to have to conditionally wrap your code if it's necessary. So this is my single. Notice the only thing that's really different here is I'm putting featured there and I'm putting full. So we're going to have a full size image on the single listing and a thumbnail on the full listing or the multiple listing page. So let's take a look at this on the front end. So if we come over to our blog, I could see the featured image being displayed as a thumbnail with a line left being applied, and that's floating it. It's also a link, so I could click in, and now we could see this is not wrapped in a link, so it's just the image, which makes sense, and it's displaying in full size. So this is a really common approach. However, the one thing I might suggest is if there is ever a time where maybe you wanted to use this in your CSS somehow, like in doing some inline CSS to apply styles to a container or a wrapper or a parallax effect or something like that, then you might want to look into the get version of this rather than echoing it. However, at this point, if you did something similar to this or it's beginning to make sense, you did a great job with the practice. And again, you could also apply these to pages. So I don't have that set up, but that might be something you want to play around with at some point on your site. So hopefully you followed along with this example that we did with our demo theme here. But at this point, I would suggest coming back to everything that we just did and try applying this to your own theme as well that you're building alongside. Maybe it's a work project, personal, whatever it is. Play around with thumbnail tags and take some time to get comfortable with it. It shouldn't take too long. Thumbnail tags are pretty simple, but you do need to know these basic things in order to really leverage them and get everything that you want out of them.